give you a little preview of the presentation. So why renewable energy and energy efficiency for farms? Technology has improved dramatically over the past couple decades. Systems can be practical and provide a reasonable financial return. State and federal incentives are available to farmers. Ag commodity processors and retailers may place a premium or a mandate on low carbon footprint products, as Lee mentioned. And I think it was about a month ago where Smithfield Foods came out and said that they're going to lower the carbon footprint in their production chain by 25%, which is very significant to be able to do that. And then renewable energy, I believe, fits the farming philosophy. It's land-based, creates independence, may improve efficiency, produce a commodity, and it helps the community economics as well in many respects. This is the Research and Outreach Center, as Lee mentioned. I'm going to show you a few slides here, renewable energy systems, just to give you an idea of the type of work that we do. You see two 1.65 megawatt wind turbines here at our facility. We have a renewable hydrogen and ammonia pilot plant. Lee was talking about nitrogen fertilizer has a high carbon footprint in corn production. This is our effort to lower the carbon footprint of nitrogen fertilizer, making it carbon free, essentially. We have several solar PV systems, including one on the swine finishing barn and another right here that supports our dairy. Here's the swine finishing barn solar PV system, 27 kW system. This is just a half of it. You can see that there's another half on the other side. As Lee mentioned, we wanted to make sure that or test whether we could produce as much energy on the roof as what we use in the building, and by and large that's true. That's the case. We can do that. Now that may not be the reason to put them on the roof or not, but we just wanted to make sure that that's possible. We have a ground-mounted 50 kW, 10K solar system here. As you can see, it's a little bit of a unique design. It has reflectors on the back side, which helps improve the efficiency of the panels by reflecting more sunlight onto them. And then we also do solar thermal research. We have an evacuated tube system that provides heating and cooling to a portion of our office building. And we provide that cooling through an absorption chiller. We also provide solar thermal heat with a flat plate for domestic water, hot water in our office building. And then we're beginning a new project on our dairy where we're using solar thermal to heat the water used for sanitation and cleaning the facility. And then storing that hot water is also in a thermal storage tank. In addition to that, we're pulling heat off the milk and storing that and using that to heat water in that system as well. This winter, we're in the process of installing two 10 kW wind turbines. Obviously, we don't have any data on that yet, but we want to get some experience along those lines. But today I'm going to tell you that in general, the best current opportunities for swine producers are energy efficiency improvements and solar PV. And there might be other opportunities on a case-by-case basis, but in my mind, these are the two that have the most potential. This is the only slide I'm going to show you on energy efficiency and payback. We commissioned a study by the AKF group based here in Minneapolis to look at energy conservation measures within our hog production system. And that's one of the caveats, that this is in our system. And then they projected payback. And so you can see the night temperature setback that Lee was talking about has a very low payback. Variable speed fans, 3.4 year according to their calculations. Earth tubes, 3.9 years. Heat lamp controllers, 6.1. And then that's kind of the line. LED lighting is continually coming down in cost, so that might be an opportunity in the future, but according to their study, that wasn't, in our case, wasn't cost effective. So why solar PV? Again, capital costs have come down significantly. 2 decades ago, it was about $75 a watt to install solar PV. Now it's around $3 a watt, and projected to go even lower than that in the next few years. Lower operation, maintenance, and repair. There's not very many moving parts. as opposed to a wind turbine, for example, or a solar thermal system where you have pumps working. The technology has improved. It used to be where if one portion of the solar PV system was shaded, that the system would essentially not work. Now that with this new improved technology, you don't have that problem. You can have one array that's not working in the entire system will keep functioning. Also, it seems like generation matches the load better, so it's good for utilities. It's good for the grid. So in July, when temperatures are high, you have those ventilation fans cranking. That's when you have the most solar energy available, as opposed to wind energy, which generates primarily at night. And I mentioned the grants and incentives available to farmers and other businesses. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, if you think about your swine buildings, you have that, in a lot of cases, you have that large southern-facing roof, and that may be a benefit. Might rather have a ground mount, but that's debatable. And solar PV will not be a good fit for all swine farms, so keep that in mind as well. So I'm going to cover a little bit of the grants and incentives available. One that I really like is Property Assessed Clean Energy, or PACE. PACE actually is a program that is through your county or your community, where you can finance these solar systems, and it's assessed to your taxes. It's basically, if you think of a ditch, or in a town, you think of a sidewalk or planting trees along the boulevard and how you're assessed that way. This way, it doesn't really go against your borrowing capacity by having this on your tax roll versus financing it itself. There's a USDA Rural Energy for America program. It's called REAP. There's grants available for up to 25% of the capital costs. There's also a loan program available. This is a competitive process. Low success rates have been experienced recently in this. I think about 6% of the funding came to Minnesota, and a lot of those programs are going towards irrigation, making irrigation systems more energy efficient, making your dryers more energy efficient. So that one might be a challenge. I visited with the Department of Agriculture here in the state and talking with them about the Minnesota Agri-Livestock Facility Loan Program. Typically, that loan program will pay up for up to 10% of a livestock facility upgrade. And in this case, they said for renewable energy systems that are along with that facility, they'll pay up to 5%. $50,000 max or $25,000 per year, and about 60% of the qualified applicants are funded. Utilities also have incentives, and these are actually the big ones. Made in Minnesota solar program, if you're an investor-owned utility area, it'll pay 10 to 13 cents per kilowatt hour for 10 years for systems below 40 kilowatts in nameplate capacity. And again, you have to be in a IUU, or basically Xcel Energy, Otter Tail, or Minnesota Power service territory. Can you hear me in back, by the way? Okay, good. The other is Xcel Solar Rewards. Let me back up. Made in Minnesota is also a competitive lottery. It's a lottery, I don't know if it's really competitive, but it's a lottery. So you put in an application. Application deadline is coming up at the end of February here. So you'd want to get on that if you want to install a solar system yet this year and you're in that service territory. Xcel Solar Rewards is just for Xcel customers. It's for systems less than 20 kW in size, and will pay 8 cents per kilowatt hour for 10 years. Net metering has been available in the state for a while now. Basically, any generation that below 40 kW that you produce that you do not use, it goes on a utility system, they will pay you or credit you for a retail price of that power. Now that might change. I know there's bills right now in the legislature to disallow that for rural electric utilities. And then check with your utility for other potential incentives such as conservation improvement payments or SIP payments. They do make some of those available for renewable energy systems, and depending on your REA or your utility, you might be able to capture that. Federal investment tax credit. It's a 30% investment tax credit. It's good through, it lasts. You can apply for it up through December 31st, 2019, at which point it starts to decrease after that. You basically take your capital costs and multiply it times 0.3 to get your tax credit for that incentive. Then modified accelerated cost recovery, depreciation. You can depreciate these from up to 5 years or 0 to 5 years. So that might be a good option. And then if you take advantage of this federal tax credit, you can only get 85% of the depreciation, however. And that also, keep in mind, tax credits and depreciation only work if you have tax appetite to make that work. And so it depends heavily on what your tax rate is, if it's 28% or 38%. So Lee had mentioned that we were doing some studies on commercial farms monitoring energy consumption. You talked briefly about this case study in a 2,400 head swine finishing unit. This building is oriented north and south, so a roof mount really wouldn't work for them. We use about 89,000 kilowatt hours per year, about 7,500 kilowatt hours per month, and then there's obviously in July they use more than in February. So the first thing, if you're going to build or install a solar PV system, is how do you size it? And Lee touched on this a little bit, but here's the electric load experienced by this producer. And it's about 7,500 kilowatts per month, but you can see it varies over the course of the year. This is the months, and this is the amount of power being consumed. So we modeled 3 solar systems. This is a 40 kW system. The reason why that one was modeled was because that fits many of the incentive programs like net metering and the Made in Minnesota program. This is a 46 kW system, which basically was being modeled because it fits underneath the load completely, so there's no issue about net metering. And then this is a 65 kW system looking at, what if we want to meet almost all their power requirements, and so it would take about that that large a system. A lot of assumptions go into building a pro forma, obviously, as you know. In this case, capital costs said $3 a watt. Production was estimated by multiplying the nameplate by 1.4. Looked at 10 cents a kilowatt hour in year 1 with a 3% escalator. In this case, we're looking at 25-year life expectancy on solar system with a 25-year warranty, which is available, 20-year extended warranty on inverters. If you're going to have a part that fails, it's most likely the inverter. 1-year warranty on install, 28% federal tax bracket, 4% interest, 10-year debt, assuming you can take advantage of PACE, for example. And then we assume that you can take full advantage of all the tax benefits, and then some other factors there. I ran a pro forma on 3 different sizes, including tax benefits, USDA REAP, and the Minnesota livestock grants, solar rewards, Made in Minnesota, and then all the benefits together. Did that when I could on 20 kW, 40 kW, and 65 kW, or when it allowed. And did a 25-year pro forma. Don't expect you to be able to see this, but just wanted to show you that I went through a spreadsheet to calculate these, and then came up with these results. So might be a little bit challenging for you to read it back, but here's the 20 kW systems, the capital costs, the first year production, first year revenue, if ITC was included, if the depreciation was included, if the grants were included, if the solar rewards were included, and if Made in Minnesota was included, and then the simple payback in years. So you have 20 kW, 40 kW, and 65 kW. And where this really works out is if you can take advantage, here 20 kW, if you can take advantage of the Made in Minnesota program, it's 8 years. If you can include grants in that and the solar rewards, you have a payback of 4 years. And then if you are able to take advantage of the full suite, it's about 3.5-year simple payback. Down in the 40 kW, you're not eligible for some of these. So we have the federal tax benefits. The grants would be 9-year. Same with Minnesota, made in Minnesota. If you add that incentive, it would be 8-year. And then if you were able to take advantage of the tax incentive grants and made in Minnesota, it's around 4 years. So that's pretty consistent. When you get up to larger size, like 65 kW, that takes away some of these incentives. So you're still eligible for the grants and the tax incentives. The best that I can see at that point is about 9 years. And so this is a starting point for you to, if you're interested in solar PV for your swine facilities, don't go to the bank and say that this is what you're going to get. I mean, it's all dependent on your individual system, but it's a good starting point for further study on your part. So what other considerations? Capital costs. When you are visiting with a contractor, you might want to ask them, is this turnkey? Do they handle the permits? Do they handle the grant applications? From our experience, the first solar PV system we put in, it was a 27 kW system. We had a range of $60,000 between the low and the high contractor. So that's just, so you should be somewhere in the $3 range per watt, and if you're not in that range, I suggest going out and getting some other bids. What are the warranties? There are reputable contractors out there. I believe some of them are listed probably on your webpage, Fritz, but also on the Minnesota Department of Commerce Energy website has a list of contractors. What utility service territory are you in? And will they require a demand charge? So basically, if you put in a solar system, you're generating most of your power, they still may charge you an extra fee just because at any point in time you may use the maximum amount of power from them. Can you fully take advantage of the tax benefits? Very important. Again, was your goal to lower the greenhouse gas emissions, and is there some benefit also, value in public perception? And then talk a little bit about roof versus ground mount. What space do you have available? Is it suitable for panels? What are you going to do about snow? Are you okay with not producing very much power in December or January, for example? And then one of the insurance people pointed out to me that there's probably a greater potential for roof collapse, not because of the weight of the solar system, but if it catches snow, and that might be an issue. Then, what's the age of your roof? Do you need to replace your roof in 5 years, and you have a 25-year solar system in place? Does it create obstacles for vehicles, snow blowing, etc.? Who's going to clean it? And is there a possibility for some multi-benefits? And I'll talk a little bit about here in that in a minute. Lee already showed this slide. Just wanted to point out, you have potential for decreased power production in wintry months or when months during snow. Here's kind of what we experienced on December 22nd of this year, or last year, I should say. Some snow gathering here, some snow buildup on the sides. So you kind of have to expect some of that. And then what are the multiple benefits? Here's a slide from a project where we're looking at using solar panels for shade for cows in the pasture, also looking at generating electricity for vehicles. So is there something like that in your farm that you could take advantage of as well? So the take-home message is energy efficiency upgrades can have a short-term return on investment. A solar PV system may be financially viable for your swine farm. There are state, federal, and utility grants. Incentives are available. They're not going to last forever. As time goes on, capital costs come down. Those will probably go away. Reputable contractors are available to help you remove some of these complexities I talked about. They can help you figure out what's right for your farm. And our energy research is helping to lower costs, and hopefully we can serve as an unbiased source of information for you. So if you visit with your contractors, you can always contact us, and we'll at least act as a sounding board. I'd like to mention that we're hosting a Midwest Farm Energy Conference, June 13th and 14th in Morris. I have an excellent group of speakers lined up for that. And tours of our systems. So if you have an interest, you can go to our website there and register.